ちょっと待って。ちょっとね、まだ準備が。なんかね、接続が、コメントベア導入してんだけど、うまくいかないんですよね。スタンレーになるのもうちょっと待って。あれ。
テスト。
うまくいってるわ。やるか。コメントベア見づら。後で設定し直しとこう。えーっと。そう、あと。名義ちゃんとされるかな。あ、どうも JK です。はい。ゲームやろう。そんな、今のなしにしてもらっていいですか？そんな都合のいい言い分が通ると思ってるんですか？いいですよ。はい。見なかったことにします。はい。めんどくさいな。あれうまくいってないやんけ。 はい、統一狩りの女子中学生が生意気なコメントをしていました。はい。
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
はい。
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons.
楽な仕事だ。僕もそういう仕事
Orders
に。
came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push,
こいつタイピング下手だな。
push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened.
はい。
Something that would
Hi, hi.
forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to
獅子
follow.
マシン人間じゃ
No
ん。
one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This
Hey.
complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time.
よかったじゃん。
But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
困ったな。イカ世界のコメントを読み切ってくれない。まあいいや。なんだなれ。はい。気を取り直して。出ていかなきゃいけないの？やだ。
Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive.
なんかあって、僕の責任だったら困るじゃん。就業時間まで待つよ。給料もらえし。はい。
Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been.
どうやって開けんのこれ。ちょっと待って。どうやって開けんのこれ。
The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever.
はい。
I will be
茶番終わりにしてね、外行こうとしたんだけど。
Hours passed, then days. Had years gone
ドアの開け方がわからない。ちょっと、マニュアルになかったんですけど、業務マニュアルにドアの開き方書いてませんでしたよ。ねえ。
He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
はい、出ました。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go.
快適な職場じゃん。
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
はいじゃないが、僕がはいって言えばはいなんですよ。会議室どこよ。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
左
he
左ね。
opened the door on his. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room.
飲み物飲まなきゃ、コーヒー飲まな
Stanley
きゃさ。
simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
わあ、すげえ。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make
これは僕の
every
仕事
decision
だ
for
が、
yourself.
僕の人生だ
I'm
が。
not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
はい。
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to
え
her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
なんだよ。知らない人からの電話出るなって。勝手に電話出たら、社員、上司に怒られるじゃん。僕の担当じゃないし。
Sweetie, sorry to keep you waiting.
Huh?
I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you?
あ、僕は JK だが、ちゃんと夫にしろ。
I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
は？ふざけやがって。
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
嫌だわ。なんでお前の言うこと聞かなきゃいけないんだ？僕は JK だぞ。なんで17歳 JK がナレーターなんかの言うこと聞かなきゃいけないんだよ。ふざけやがって。
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
はい。
Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
なんで言うこと聞かなきゃいけないんだ？ふざけや
But
が
in
って。
his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries
帰
of
っ
new
て。
lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought
そり
exploded
ゃ仕事しなくて
terribly.
よくなるからさ。こう思ったらどうなんだろう。なんでこいつの言うこと聞かなきゃいけないんだ。いや、僕はいつまでも待つからな。耐久させようったってそうはいかないぞ。お、やっと、配信3回目にして、肌の色が変わったこと突っ込まれた。はい。いや、もともとこんなんでしたよ。色白と褐色肌と青肌があるんで、あともう1パターンキメラがあるんですけど、ちょっと V ロイドじゃ作れなかったんで。
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
僕はいつも通り。ちなみに地味に髪型イメチェンしたんで、これで、褐色肌バージョンの方も髪が長くなるんで、これ起用さなきゃダメ？
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again,
なんかネタバレされた気がするんだけ
wishing
ど。
beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more
なる
time.
ほどな。
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
はいはい。
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me.
なんで僕
He
怒
won't
られてん
stop.
の？なんか悪い
Here,
ことした？
watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
深夜従わないように？は？そんなことやったら従うが？
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
お、怒り始めたぞ。
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled
お、
to.
いい感じに
I
怒ってます
must.
ね。
Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
死んで
Pushed
る。
a button. And I tried again.
怒らしちゃった。
And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
怒らしちゃった。はい。はいはい。ディラインならでや。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first
仕
open
事になんか
door
行きた
on
く
the
ない
left.
な。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
これって落ちるのかな？
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
はい。
Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
JK は強いか？お
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
そうだ、さっき部屋の構造違くなかった？はい。しゃあねえな。あれこんな構造だったっけ？
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左ってこっちでしょ。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
え？
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
一応休憩室にいたいな。
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
しゃあねえな。
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
いやー、なんか僕間違ったことした？
Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, From here, it's, Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
お前左言うたんやっけ？あ、騙されんぞ。あったく。
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right?
お前は優柔不断やから、僕はお前の言うこと信用できねえんぞ。
Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
あ、台本読まなきゃ覚えてらんねえのか？
See, we went down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
は？行きたくねえ。信用できねえ。なんでこんなとこに車あんの？どっから出んのこれ。あれこのシャッターから？いや、このシャッター、どこについてなくね？構造おかしくない？あ？
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
4。まったくわがままなやつだ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ドア閉まりましたか？あ、自分で閉めたのけ。ああ、しゃあない。
When Stanley... Wait.
What?
What? No.
What?
No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Or did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the
は？
monitors?
責任転嫁するんじゃない。
You moved the story somewhere or Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. was right here just a minute ago. I'm sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then, it's an adventure. Come, Stanley, let's find the story.
あ、やっと選択肢をよこしやがったな。で、どこ行きゃいい？この時は、右に手ついて歩けばいいって。
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again. But it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
は？なんでお前の茶番に僕が付き合わされなきゃいけないんだ？僕は JK だぞ。僕は17歳 JK だぞ。
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
え？
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong.
お、いい感じにグダグダしてきたぞ。
Back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
グダグダしてまいりました。楽しくなってきたな。僕は何もしないんだよね。このナレーターってやつが悪い。
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took...
こういうとこだった気がするけど。
Is that correct?
いや、こういうとこだったけど。
Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Yeah.
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job.
騙されないぞ。ごまかすな。逃げるな。
I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
しっかりしてくれよ、君。取りに行きたくなるぞ。
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
イージーモードじゃん。あ、楽々。
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story?
お、ずれてるぞ。誰だろ、引いたやつ。
Are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize.
僕の一貫性を見習え。僕は瞑想しないぞ。
I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
うるせえ、やめろ。ごまかすな。
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story.
JK の身体能力を考慮しない。 この線が悪いんだよね。僕のせいじゃない。ちゃんと僕は指示に従ったかな。
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Well, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
あとしっかりしてくれよ。返品するぞ。
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for
ア
us?
ドベンチャーライ
We're
ン。
intelligent people.
商標つってんのかな。
Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
まったくもうしっかりしてくれよ。
Now, yes, this is
確かに
exciting.
数百円したんだ
Just
ぞ、
me
この
and
ゲーム
Stanley
ね。
forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
17歳JK が主役で、
No, not you
愉快
again.
なクラスメイトと一緒に、
I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story.
あ
No
った
line.
お前横に TM ついてんの面白い
Just
な。
don't acknowledge it. We should be fine.
むしろには道が一本しかないんですが。僕の物語は結構、
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin.
何言ってんだ。
So
わかる
starting
説
from
明
the
しろ。
right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going?
あ
And since the answer is
人に
clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic.
人に聞くな。自分
Come,
で考えろ。
Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold on,
Hi.
what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times?
台本ちゃんと読んで
Really
ない。
how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want
かわい
to
そう。
forget? My mind goes
哀れな
blank
コバちゃん。
simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this?
選べないのはナレーターだけなんだよね。
No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
ちゃんと仕事して。
And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will
こ
something
こに聞かれ
happen?
ても知らんけど。
So, okay.
魔法少女対ゴリラ帝国について語るぐらいしかできないけど。
I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
いや、髪が揺れるって感動的だな。なんかナレーター言ってた？ちゃんと聞いてなかったわ。
all of his co-workers were gone, what could it mean?
はいはい。ちゃんと言うこと聞けばいいん
Stanley
でしょ。
decided to go to the meeting
も
room. Perhaps
う、
he
わ
had
がままなやつなん
silenced
だから。
the memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
はいはい、左
he
左ね。
entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
上の階ね。上行ってるよ、ちゃんと。
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange.
あ、僕はそんなこと考えてないが。思考統治を気取るのやめろ。フィトセンスをしてからそういうことを言うんだ。
And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that of course this was not a dream.
フィトセンスもしてねえやつに思考統治をしてるとか言われたくねえんだよな。
Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself. Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all,
思考統治を気取りやがってよ。フィトセンスをしろ。
Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream.
ちゃんと台本読んでます。
So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin,
勝手に眠らされたんだ
the
よ。
mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please.
いや、
It's all I want.
JK の人生はバラ
I
色だ
want my
が。
apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life
勝手
exactly
に
the
僕の
way
欲しい
it's
ものは
always
決める
been.
な。
My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am
そういうこ
okay.
と言ってるやつは、こう、ドラマで、離婚の売り姫に会うんだよね。
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people are. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
都会って厳しい。知ってても通報してくんないんだ。
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
たまに地形変わってない。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左でしょ、左。わかったよ、もう。ふざけやがって。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might come into a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
随分立派なオフィスだな。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845ね。
Stanley simply began entering random codes into the
あ、
keypad.
これが正しいって聞いたんだ
Full
な。
well, the sheer
あ、間違え
statistical
たわ。
likelihood that this would ever result in a correct combination. If he knew that the combo was 2845, it would be another story entirely. But no, this is what he was going to do instead.
あ、壊れてるな。こうじゃないのか。
Stanley just sat around twiddling.
正しい番号って何だったっけ？
Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was
749。合ってる合って
Yet
る。
incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to
合ってるじゃん。
input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly
やっ
opened
ぱさ、
passageway.
ダークソウルを定価で買うっていうのがヒントだったんじゃない？ダークソウル2を定価、DLC なしの時代に定価で買うっていうのは、パサード、5963、ご苦労さん。こっちなんかあるかな。は？ちゃんとなんかアイテム置いとけ。はい。やっぱこういう時のために、ダークソウル2を定価で買うべきだったんですね。
deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word Escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
いや、そんなこと言われても信じないが。
Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
逆にお前はこれから死ぬって言われるとなんかすげえワクワクしない。あ、まだ進んだ。お、楽しい。
Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise. He reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this was.
脱出できそうだけど、これ。
Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
なあ。よくご存知で。
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the
僕が両投げ買うときの基準これなんだよね。この質があるかどうかで、買うゲーム決めてるから。お？ポータルか？このゲームってポータルだった？
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
僕がこうエッチなゲーム買うときに、さっきみたいに種があるかどうかが割とこういうの判断基準なんだよね。
Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
なんか反応してほしい。まだ終わらないの？何ここ？開発会社？オフィスブック。なんで時計飾ってあんの？フリーダムエンディング。自由だ！カウントダウンデスク。フリーダムエンディング。自由だー！へえ、博物館じゃん。博物館好き。
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
このゲーム終わった？
No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game.
押さない
If you
が？
move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and be your only true choice.
僕はこの質が見たくてゲームを買ったんだが。
Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time.
うわ、エッチじゃん。こういう種好きだよ。で、どっから止まったわ。ああ、なるほどね。はいはい。いや、松が二人もふさぎやがって。はあ、しゃあねえ、言うこと聞いてやるか。
This is all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
あ、なんだっけ。あと自由だともう一個なんかあった気がするけど。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
よいしょ。
Yet there was not a single person here
はい
either.
はい。
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs
愛の好
to
きなん
his
だよねって言って
boss's
からコメント
office.
止まったが。トイレじゃん。何これ。エレベーターじゃん。乗ってみよう。じゃあ下リラックスした音楽流れ始めたが。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible.
Oh,
He
Mitashi.
didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he
Hi, Kake.
relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
これって RTA するとき、これ無視するのかな？慣れた待つのかな？
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
マインドコントロールファクトリー。安直すぎて笑う。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television
この
screens.
もん
What
かわい
horrible
安っぽすぎる
secret
でし
did
ょ。
this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
このさ、いかにも適当なデスクの置き方。適当すぎへん。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers.
なんか一個エラー入って
The
る
lives
が。
of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
ちょっと管理がちょっとできてないとこあるけど。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this
あ、
the only
誰も僕を
reason he
縛れない
stayed
が。
with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It
めっ
was
ちゃ慣れた人より盛り
unthinkable.
上がってるやんけ。
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly
スタンリーよりも
blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with
コントロール
emotions.
ステータスのプライ
Happy,
壊れてるな。
sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave.
喜ぶスイッチと満足スイッチは、ずっとしっぱなしにしときたい。
I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better
The
than
Stanley
what I had
Parable
in mind.
24時間配信していいのか
Little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you.
そうですね、これポータルですね。
What all this means, I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning... I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this... Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
ふざけやがって。突然ラスボスになったが。
You're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine.
突然選ぶりやがってよ。
Destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your friend?
お前さっき泣いてたの知ってるからな。そんな偉そうにしやがって。
Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I
間違えてた
will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
この世のどこに自由があるというのはね。いや、僕は自由だから。しゃあねえな、もう。いや、救いのないエンディング意外と好きですよ。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
あれ、神様なんてどこにもいなかったんだっけ。あれとか結構好きですよ。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
RTA 的にすげえロス多いね。
Okay, I think we all know
だい
the
ぶ引っ
drill
かか
by
った。
now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
真ん中が見えない。ちょっと待って。うまくボタンが押せない。はい。早く開けろ。あ、開いてるわ。早いね、今回。ナレーター喋ってくれないが。済んだか。いや、またスイッチオン押してえな。自由なんて自分が自由だと思えば自由なんだよ。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
いや。そういえば僕本当に4の後3をしてた。やべ、これ3じゃんと思って、押さなかったつもりだったんだけど。はいはい、見た見た。あれってどうやったら止められるとかあんのかな。ワザップでもするか後で。
Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
僕がマウスを押した時のこのゲームの SE と多分僕がキーボードカチャカチャしてる音両方入ってるから相当うるさいと思う。
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
あれってめちゃくちゃ盛り上がったんじゃん。
But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this
はい、
very
スイッ
place.
チ押すりゃいいんでしょ。
As the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machine...
で、オフ押すとオフってフリーゲーあったよね。あれ結構面白かった。
and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved.
フォロワーの VTuber がこのゲームやってたんだけど、謎のミニゲームやってたのはよく覚えてる。
What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would
そう、
anyone
なん
tell
か赤ちゃん
him
のゲームやってたの。
what to do or how to feel.
しょうがねえだろ、赤ちゃんなんだから。
It will be,
人類みんな赤ちゃんだから。
and that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth
どう
knowing.
だったっけ？
Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right
はい、
now,
これ、トゥルーマンズショー
things
です
were
ね。
meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
ギャルガンとどっこいどっこいって、ギャルガンの自然物どんなんだっけ？
Wait, Stanley thought to
や
himself.
ったの昔すぎて
Am I
全然
sure
覚えてな
that
い。
the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
確かどうだったっけな。
When Stanley came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew
確か
it
言ってない
perfectly
ルート
well.
が
Perhaps
間
he
違いな
wanted
く
to
もう一個あ
stop
る
by
ん
the
だな。
employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
これ2011年、2013年だっけ？
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong
これ落ちたら
foot.
死ぬんだよな。死ぬのは
I'm
見
not
た。
your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing in your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really?
よいしょ。
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of
も
this,
うあんまり
but
ニコ
I
ニコにね、
really
入り
do
浸ってない
want
ん
to
ですよ
help。you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
はい。
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
せっかくだから俺はこの赤の扉選ぶぜ。
We're communicating properly. Stanley walked. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You
あ、
wanna
そういえば
find
僕
out
デスクリプト
what
の
lies
2
at
持
the
って
end
るん
of
ですよ
this
ね。
road
今度やろう
in
かな。
the chosen world? Don't let me stop you. You see, there's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically?
ステージ6ってなんだっけ？ステージ6って何？ね、動画サイト。
Nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but
どこに住んでるかはちょっと
that's not
言え
even
ない。
helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look. Now,
違うんですね。
competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors. Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting.
ちょっと口では言えない。記録が残る場所ではね、なかなか言えない場所に住んでるから。お、出た。出た。ムカつくな、この顔。
All about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice.
もうとんでもないところ住人させようとするんじゃない。
Only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. あれなんだよ。虹裏よ。赤ちゃんの乳首見に行っていい？あ、いや、ちょっと。僕に持つかな、これ。ちょっと待って。コントローラーどこいたっけ？知り合いの VTuber、知り合いというか、相互フォロワーの VTuber が、これチャレンジしてたね。一生やってた、これ。無理じゃねこれ。これ4時間。今3時でしょ？午後7時までこれやるの？どうしよっか。ボタン押すだけの人生を今送ってるからさ。正義的にはね、ボタン押さないでこのまま飛び込むのを見守りたいところではあるんだけど、どうしようか、これ。これ、やってたら1時間で絶対人いなくなるよ。スタンリー君、よくこんな人生送ってきたなって、キーボード1本指タイプやってんの見て大爆笑したからね。割とね、8割ぐらい、4時間やるつもりあったんだけど。いや、こういうシチュエーションいいよね。好きだよ、僕は。しかも助けられるのに助けないっていうシチュエーションがいいよね。本当に4時間やろうと思ったんだけど、間違いなく、配信でやらなくてよくねってなる。絶対人いなくなるでしょ、これ4時間やってたら。いつか4時間耐久配信やってもいいけど。 Well, Stanley, is this any better? At last, the one thing you've always
ジャンプできないな。
a game I had absolutely nothing to do with. But is it enough? Tell me that, Stanley. Will it ever be enough? Well, I'll say this. I'm done.
時間雑談ね。
From now
喉が死ぬ。
to fulfill a greater artistic purpose. Watch this, Stanley. I'm going to build a house.
動かせないし、ナレーターが勝手に
No, here, and then
やってるだけだが。
Let's see, what does it need?
豆腐ハウス未満だぞ、これ。
Of course, and just to finish it all off, yes, it's complete. I made this, Stanley. Look at it. Gaze
素材がガラスじゃない。やり直し。
feel ashamed at your own
ガラスで作れ、家は。
Ah, but you've only seen it from the outside. You've only gotten half the experience. Please, step inside and make yourself
家をガラスで作ると水中に作れ。入れないよ。
Isn't it grand? Isn't it perfect? It could only be better if... Wait, that's it. We must rebuild it out of diamond. Diamond everything. Yes, yes, yes. Come along, Stanley. We have to go mining.
これ、大乱闘スマッシュブラザーズ、SP っすね。
Oh my, it looks like it's going to get a bit
明
dark.
かりそんなもんないよ。
Oh, no, 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 no. This is far more open-ended than I had in mind. I'm looking for something more narrow and linear. Something that makes you feel utterly irrelevant. This won't do at all. 1 out of 5. Even the diamonds couldn't save this one.
雲の声が聞こえた
Okay,
が。
new game.
まあ、いくらね、10年くらい前に遊んでましたよ。17歳だから、17歳の時にやってた。お、ポータルじゃん。
Yes, I don't even know what this game is, but I love it. You trapped in a glass box with no way out, listening to me talk. Oh, it's inspired. I couldn't have done it any better myself. What is this game even supposed
神ゲーじゃん。
to be? I can't figure it out. Okay, now I'm curious. Let's go find out what the hell this is.
ポータルね、実は1やってないんだよね。
Oh, it's a puzzle. Critical thinking, Stanley. Your forte. Genius. No, actually, you know what? I think that's plenty.
ちゃんとね、ナレーターは僕の言うこと聞いてくれたんだよね。次どこ行きゃいいの？ちゃんとガラスの家で作れって言ったら、ガラスの家で作ってくれたから、言うの。この足音何？割と。お、出口じゃん。はい。戻ってきたわ。こんなに荒かったっけ？うちのオフィス。
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end to make
これで大
sense
体
out
な
of
ん
the
か、
chaos
この
and
ゲーム
fear and the
知ってる
confusion.
ものは大体やったけど、
That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon.
ナレーター
Very
と
soon.
大体和解できなかったわ。
I can wait.
大体のルートで和解できなくない？あと何があるの？
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
あ、ここ大体なんか遊び尽くした気がする。あと何が起こってるんだ？
When Stanley came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he was years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy.
めっちゃバレーシューだからね。
I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this
ホ
time.
ツ。
There's someone you've been neglecting.
ケノイちゃんさんか？
Someone you forgot. What?
ホツやらないんだよね。
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful.
6、7くらいしか見てないから半分くらい。
Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley.
What?
You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let
僕は
me
名前
stop you.
くんとかさんとか入ってた
You
ら、
see, there's nothing here.
さんつけるか
How
ら
do you finish building this section of the map? Because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you
これな
wanted
んだ
to
ろう
see.
大変満足しましたってクソ回答したらどうなんだろう
Strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me.
スキルツリーいいね。くれない
Nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a
車あ
stab
った
at
じゃん。
the
車
garden
乗れるにし
inside
よ
and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to stop you there.
僕ずっ
Now,
とICD
tell me about your
リトログさんって呼んでたけ
experience
ど
with this version.
実際の読み方知らないんだよ
Game
ね
benefited from allowing you more choices.
名前がアルファベットの人ね
I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
割と雰囲気で読んでる
I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge.
ナイトロさん
Here,
ナイトログさん
data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new
言っててなん
version.
か
And to be
あの
perfectly candid, I think I've
なんか
knocked
違う
it
な
out
ってな
of
っ
the
た
park with this one. Let's take a look.
プレイヤーランキングじゃんは僕がいないが二人について二人について
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard
もう
helped
だい
you
ぶ
feel
積もっちゃって
motivated
二
to
人に
keep
つい
pushing
て
through doors? Again,
僕も割と当
honest
てはまる
answers,
気はするけど
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
めんどくせえ。だって、ワザップしていい？ウィキあるじゃん。1、2、3、4、5、6。7？ 8、8個か。エンディング8個しか見てないや。なんとかエンドって言われるだけで、エンディングの内容は優位想像できるのが受けるんだよな。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others. So the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find...
3。434か。343と間違えてた。おお。お？
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want. Like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate.
大体基本的にやったん
Seems
で。
to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain.
めっちゃ怒られてんだけど。
There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way.
あれじゃん。
His brain
サイレントヒルとかドリームクラブみたいな、ああいうの思い出すな。
which is why he is in this parable. And gives existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. You too will become quite unbearable.
これ白画面配信してるって思われるじゃん。僕はですね、どういうゲーム好きなんだろう。アーマードコア好きでしょ。アーマードコア死ぬほど好き。 アーマードコアとかガンダムブレイカーとか、ああいう、なんだろう、カスタマイズできるメカ、ロボアクション系好きでしょ？あと、ストーリーが好みなギャルゲー好きでしょ？あとなんか、ガンはいいよ。グフカスト走行強化チームが実装されたあたりで、地獄を見てやめたから。今振り返るとめちゃくちゃ初期だな。グフカスが空飛んでカトリング撃ち下ろしてくんの。走行強化チーム、確か弾けなかったんだよね、当時。笑えるよね。一番最初の課金ガチャ実装でも環境に置いてかれたんだよね。ガンオンは。バトピはね、課金しつつもなんとかやっていけたから。お、歌終わったわ。終わったか？リセットしろってあれか。巻き部ね。巻き部真面目にやるならあんま好きじゃないんだよね。割と。やってはいるんだけど。ちょくちょく配信もしてたんだけどね。あれ。キャプチャーボード壊れてからいなくなっちゃった。あと PS2 が治ったらね、ガンダムトゥルーオデッセイとかやりたいね。どうしようって瞬間。別のゲームやるか。なんだっけ、最近は、なんだっけ、類は友を呼ぶとか、乙女理論とかその周辺とか、結構面白かったよ。よいしょ。タイトル変えよう。ちょっと待って。YouTube の配信止める